We have 9,000% return up to date.
9,000% in Turkish
Yes,
lira. Okay. In
yes.
dollars, how much is that like?
Dollars. In dollars, 300%.
Wow, you made 300%? That's great.
That's the scale of the devaluation. So what I look for is companies which have natural hedge against inflation.
Today, I'm here with Haydar Acun of Marmara Capital in Turkey to discuss the Turkish economy and capital markets. Hajar, good to see you.
Good to see you as well, George.
This is going to be a fantastic session. Turkey is not front and center for most American investors, and I'm sure we're going to learn a lot and what the opportunities are in Turkey. So, you've been investing in Turkey for decades. So, help give us a little remedial education, Turkish investing for dummies, of what's going on in Turkey. Why should Americans be looking at the Turkish stock market?
George, I'm a value investor, and let me tell you a few words about how I feel as a value investor in Turkey. I feel like I get up every morning, I eat a big box of Turkish delights, which is equivalent of Turkish Viagra, and then go to my harem. That's how I feel when I go and invest in Turkey. The reason is it's been a paradise for value investors. So it's quite exciting, and it's been a rewarding experience for me as well. So you know, go against the tide. It's a very contrarian call, but it's a rewarding call. You fish where the fish are. That's what Turkey is.
So, Hajar, and speak up just a little bit more as we go along. Um, so, you have tremendous economic volatility in Turkey, inflation, the currency, asset prices. Um, and like you just said, you got to go where the fish are. Are there many fish right now in Turkey? Sometimes there's a lot of fish, sometimes there's not so many fish. Because the opportunity set's never linear. It depends what the market, it depends what opportunities Mr. Market's serving up, right? So right now, are there many fish in the lake?
I think so, George. Inflation, high inflation, inflation accounting, which made analyzing of the companies very difficult, and also political chaos, etc., and the absence of foreign investors created a lot of opportunities. I see many good names trading at sustainable earnings of like three, four times or one third of their book values. In a way, some stocks are like 1960s US market, where you can find interesting names.
Wow.
I'm quite excited. Yeah.
So you mentioned foreign investors aren't terribly involved right now. Was there a time in the past, going back a few years, that you had much bigger foreign investors?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Historically, we had like 65% of the free float was held by foreign investors. It's currently less than 30%.
Wait, 65%? Now it's less than 30?
65% of the free float now is 30. And when you look at the MSCI weighting of Turkey, at high times it was like 4 or 5%. It's currently 0.4%.
Yeah, I
So
could imagine. I could imagine if one is an emerging market investor, I presume Turkey's an emerging market indices, probably one of the easiest ways to get fired.
yes,
You were
yes.
worried about career risk. It's like, oh, I got this great idea, and then it doesn't work. Some crazy thing happens, and people are like, George, what were you thinking? Like, play it safe, invest in, I don't know, Korea or someplace, okay? But Turkey, like, are you nuts? So I can, there's a big career risk element in investing in Turkey. So, the fact that foreign investors are not so heavily involved right now, does that make the market less efficient?
Yes, much less efficient. One reason is yes, foreign investors are absent in the market. Secondly, there has been a huge speculation by local investors. Right now, 90% of the daily trading volume are done by locals, and their average stock holding period is 2 days.
What? You get wait. You guys are crazier than the Koreans. I thought the Koreans were. You think Nasdaq is bad? You think Koreans are bad? You guys are worse than the Koreans.
And so that makes it Turkey like biggest casino,
So,
even bigger.
Hajar, I'm gonna guess. Just to guess. We're not talking about AI, Turkish AI stocks today, are we? Hmm.
No, no, we are talking.
So wait, if you don't have AI stocks in tech, by the way, are there any tech stocks in Turkey really, or no?
Well, we got some software companies, but I wouldn't call them tech stocks like you have in the US.
Okay, good. So let's back up a little bit. What's going on with Turkey? We got to talk about the macro environment first, just because there's so much macro volatility. Talk a little bit about the politics, the economic growth, the inflation, the interest rates. Give us a little bit of context so we can then better understand what's going on in the stock market.
Well, macro outlook is such that you wouldn't touch the Turkey. Nothing gets better. I mean, we had some improvement in the inflation. If you call it improvement, coming down from 80s to 35%.
Wait, hold on. Just so the viewers at home get this. Inflation's gone from 80 to 35%. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, keep going.
You got some improvement in the inflation. In terms of countries' central bank's reserves, we had a minus reserve in Turkey because of the swap agreements. Now central bank has surplus at these positive reserves. Uh, in those terms, there is some improvement, but other than that, politics, etc., is a bit shaky. I mean, something going on in the opposition, and local elections and this and that. And I don't want to go into detail about that, but macro-wise, I don't think you would dare to touch Turkey. I mean, it doesn't look good. It doesn't.
Okay, so does that mean as an investor in Turkish financial assets, if inflation is 35%, you've got to differentiate obviously between nominal and real. So as an investor, when you're taking that into consideration, are you very cognizant of that? Are you trying to find assets that'll at least retain their value in real terms? Like, do you think in dollars or gold, or how do you think about it? Because look at counting your money in lira, like it's whatever. It's like confetti. It's paper money. It doesn't mean anything. So, how do you think about the persistent inflation and devaluation?
George, let me give you two numbers. Since we started the fund in 2014, up to date, we have 9,000% return.
9,000% in
Yes,
Turkish lira. Okay. In
yes,
dollars, how much is that though?
dollars. In dollars, 300%.
Wow, you made 300%? That's great.
Yes,
That's
but
fantastic.
my
Right.
point is, look at the difference from
Yeah, yeah,
9,000%.
yeah, 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 yeah.
That's the scale of the devaluation. So what I look for is companies which can increase their prices in line with inflation or higher than inflation, and companies which have natural hedge against inflation, etc. So these are the things that we try to protect ourselves.
So, Hajar, just out of curiosity, what are interest rates, both short term and long term, in Turkey right now? What are interest rates?
Well, in euro bonds, I think it's close to 7-8% in euro terms. And local interest rates, if you put your money into bank account, you would probably get between 38 to 42%.
Okay,
And for a while, currency is under a little bit, control. So there has been a real return for
right.
investors in the bond markets as well.
And not to get into a political argument or discussion, but how do most investors? So I'm not asking for your political views, but more from sort of an investing standpoint. Um, Is the political situation something you have to think about a lot? Because, sitting here in New York, you read, Erdogan does this, Erdogan does that, fires a central bank guy, blah, 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 blah. So is this something you think about or not really? Because everything just gets indexed and it just kind of keeps on going.
Well, I learned not to think about it, George. I mean, over the past 12, 13 years, the things we have seen in this market is crazy. We had, I'm not counting about COVID, Russia-Ukraine war, or coup attempt, earthquake, you name it. I mean, any kind of political event, we had it. This is a market for bottom-up investors, 100%.
That's fantastic.
Market for
Before we get in,
investors who have guts and
yeah,
who are not scared by the volatility.
before we get into the ideas and the types of things you're looking at, just out of curiosity, in terms of what's going on in the Straits of Hormuz and the oil price, how's that affecting Turkey? And do you have any particular insight as to how you think the situation is going to play out?
Well, how does that affect Turkey? Well, it has slightly delayed our inflation program because central bank was supposed to cut rates, but this is a bit delayed. And then they sold some reserves, I think maybe around $10 billion. And as you know, we import all the oil. So any increase in the oil directly affects our current account balance. So that's the impact. So hopefully it will settle out. We think eventually we are close to the end of it. But
You're getting
imagine
close to the end of it.
for a while, Turkey is surrounded by war zones. It started with Syria, right? And then Ukraine, and then now we have Iran. So we are surrounded by wars. And imagine the upside when those wars are settled. Turkey, business-wise, can boom. I mean, those areas would love to have Turkish companies from
Right.
cement producers to construction.
And just to remind folks, I mean, Turkey is a big country. What's the population of Turkey?
We are 82 million. And we
82
are
million. I mean,
the
that's
largest
bigger than France, bigger than the UK, bigger than Germany, and also you have much lower standards of living, so the potential for growth is much greater if you just get some stability. So, all right. So let's get on to the stock market now. Tell us about the type of stocks you're looking at. You said there are a lot of fish in the pond right now. So maybe give us a few examples of some of the things you really like.
Okay, I mean, up until recently, my investing style was pure Ben Graham classic value investing. We could find that kind of companies, and I'm still doing that. But for the past 2, 3 years, I try to change my style to a bit compounding long-term stories as well. So when I look at my portfolio, some stocks are contrarian ideas, especially companies that have some earnings power, but for some reason they are depressed because local investors hate to see quarterly losses. Anytime a company announces a quarterly loss, the stock is just dumped. And the volatility is like 30, 40%. So when we see such an opportunity and we understand the business and the value of the company, we make investments in those ideas that are unpopular, that are ignored, that are hated by the market. So that's one style. Secondly, I look for businesses that I can put in the portfolio and maybe forget for 5 years, 10 years. Those are the stocks that I try to include in my portfolio. Let me give you an example. We have our largest position in Turkish Burger King company. They are
Sorry, what type of company?
Burger King, local franchise for
Oh,
burgers.
Burger King. Okay, Burger King. Okay, got it. Yeah, okay.
The company has 2,000 restaurants, and they have 4 or 5 restaurant chains: Popeyes, Subaru, Burger King,
Oh,
Turkish.
so you have all our wonderful garbage fast food in Turkey. Okay, yeah, okay.
Absolutely. And it's booming. It's booming because of the economic situation. You can imagine that. I mean, we have like 8 million students, and they have to buy protein cheapest price available. So that's why there is a boom in the consumption. So that's the kind of company that maybe over the next 5, 10 years they will easily double, triple their number of restaurants because it's an 80 million country and 2,000 restaurants is nothing. when you consider the rest of Turkey, which is not just Istanbul. So that's one business, and they have, I think, potential to grow in other countries. You will laugh at this, but they just opened 3 doner shops in China. Uh,
What?
Turkish doner restaurants in China. So, they don't have that, and they are managed by very good operators. And Turkey is the only country where Burger King is much better and around 3 times larger than McDonald's
Real? Why is that?
because we like the meatball taste. Grilled
So,
meatball.
all right, so this thing's gonna grow, have a lot more stores,
Yeah,
probably same store sales will do well. Talk a little bit about the valuation, and I don't know how you want to look at it because I know with the inflation accounting it gets kind of screwy, but perhaps the growth of the company and sales or earnings, maybe in dollars, I don't know how you look at it, but give us a few numbers that we can help contextualize this idea, the growth rate and the valuation. Can you throw some numbers at us?
sure. The company grows around 10 to 15% in real terms, in terms of their real sales turnover, and their EBITDA is close to 17 to 19%. And the kind of valuation on a sustainable earnings is like 7 times, 6, 7 times. For such a business, you would expect maybe at least twice.
Yeah, okay,
Once.
so you have a company that's growing earnings 10-15% in real terms,
Yeah,
and it's only on 6 times EBITDA, 6 times earnings, whatever. It sounds pretty reasonable.
yeah, yeah. And that's one example. Second company that we have a large position in our portfolio is a brewery stock.
A
Another
brewing stock,
brewery
beer,
stock,
beer.
beer,
Yeah,
and
okay,
that
yeah.
big company owns 50% of Turkish Coke bottling company.
50% of the Coke bottling company. Okay, yeah.
And Coke bottling 50% market cap is equal to brewery company's market cap. In effect, it means you buy the Coke by buying this brewer and you get all the brewery business for free. And that's
Is
an
it
international business, not
is
just
this one of the bigger brewing companies in Turkey?
it is. It's the largest one. It's also one of the largest in other countries in Central Asia. And they, up until recently, they were second or third largest in Russia. By the way, the reason why we had invested was because their factory was taken over, seized by Russian authorities last year, and the stock got plummeted. And we thought that that's an opportunity. Roughly 20% of their EBITDA was coming from Russia, and a trustee was appointed to Russian business. The market discounted it like everything is gone, which we think maybe there's a potential in the future that business might come back, but still, it is more than discounted
So let
valuation-wise.
me ask you a question. I don't know if what you look at here is sum of the parts or you look at earnings, but you mentioned how the Coke franchise alone is equal to the market cap of the company. So if you take the value of that holding, add on the brewing operations plus whatever else, blah, 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 if the company's worth X, if the stock price is X, like what's the sum of the parts? Is it selling at half of its total value, or how would you speak to the valuation of this company?
Well, I do definitely look at the sum of the parts. The Coke bottling is also trading below its fair value. So that's a key component because if something is overvalued and if you take 50% of it, it doesn't mean much for the sum of the
Sure.
parts. But I would say that it's trading probably around 40% of this adjusted sum of the parts fair
Really?
value. Yes.
And what, I presume over time, the valuation varies. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower. What do we need to see for this stock to do better? It may not be a company thing, it's just be a macro thing. Also for the
Yeah.
Burger King, I mean, these are two of your biggest holdings. What do we need? Is it a micro development, or the company's doing just fine, or is it really more a macro play that you need to make these stocks improve?
I think business-wise, the Burger King operation is quite defensive because if the macro gets worsened, they still sell uh, if not Burger King, they say
Hmm.
or something else. So the portfolio is such a position that is a complementary to each other. If things get better, Turkey recovers economically, people will consume higher price menus. So that's the kind of business which will perform no matter how
Right,
many.
right.
In
I'm
that
just
respect,
curious, if you look at the Turkish market, presumably you've got a fair number of financial stocks. I don't know how many resource commodity stocks you have, but maybe speak to, if you want to get individual names, that's fine, but some of the other sectors. So for instance, financials, obviously, given the
yeah.
financial volatility, the funding, the dollars, the lira, the whole bit, like how are the banks doing in this environment?
Well, banks are immune to this high inflation environment because since 1990s, Turkey has been in this kind of environment. So it's a part of the culture. It's in our genes to cope with inflation. I mean, if you go to a Western country and you say you got 30% inflation, everything would frozen probably. You will be in deep shock. But here it's a very dynamic economy, dynamic, and the managers are like that. So they're coping with it. Banks are trading at around one-time book value. I wouldn't
Okay,
specifically say that they are absolutely cheap, but maybe 2 years ago they were like 0.4 times book value. And their ROEs are not that good because recently, because of this Turkish lira pressure, etc., previous central bank governors, because of the political influence, they had to tighten up the banking profits. So there were lots of regulations. But still, financials, banks are a large part of the index. And I can say that we have under-leveraged banking system, very well regulated, enough capitalized, and very well run. Apart from that, we've got insurance business. One of the recent positions that we include in our portfolio is a life and pension company. And we own two general insurers in our portfolio. The reason I like them is because they are managing substantial amount of money in terms of their assets under management. And this life and pension company is a great compounder, like 15-20% growth.
got it.
And in Turkey, pension system is still like 6-7% of the GDP. So it's quite underdeveloped.
Small, there's a lot of room for growth.
And there's a 20% incentive when you get into pension system. State makes a 20% contribution. And recently, company enrollment made compulsory. So there is a substantial long pathway of growth.
Terrific. Just a couple more questions about sectors, and then we'll move on to something else. I'm just curious, we've been globally in a reflationary environment. Commodity stocks have done well, gold's done well, energy, gold, copper, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and so I'd ask you, in terms of the overall reflation theme, are there any really commodity plays in Turkey? And then second question, kind of related, how about construction and engineering firms?
Well, construction is something that Turkey is really good at it. We have world-class construction companies. One of them is Enka. They have they have built almost in Africa and other countries all the U.S. consulates, for example. They are partnered with Bechtel, so it's a very good company, cash rich. Construction is something we are quite competitive, I would say. Apart from that, commodity-wise, we don't have much metals companies, maybe some gold, but not too much. But other than that, we have construction materials is a big industry in Turkey. Uh,
Got it. Um, so Hajar, let's turn a little bit to your experience and what you do. What is your firm? Hajar, we have a technical problem. For some reason, I can't hear you.
yeah.
The sound is messed up. Sorry.
Is it better now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. My firm is a locally domiciled asset manager. We are
And
an independent asset management company, and we have three long-only mutual funds. investing in Turkish equities.
And you've been at this for how many years now? How long have you been investing professionally?
I've been investing for 13 years, and before that, I was on the sell side as an analyst.
Got it. And you said your funds are up 300% in dollars since 2014. Did I get that
100%
right?
in dollars,
Wow.
where the market was down by 5% in dollar terms during the same period.
Wait,
Uh,
the market was down 5% and you're up 300?
yes,
Whew.
I mean we might have one of the, maybe, I don't know, largest relative performances. Um, but in terms of compound annual return, we have generated over 12% in net terms. Uh, it's interesting. I mean, I always criticize myself why I couldn't do better, etc. But then when I turned to U.S. market and saw that we have done better than the S&P 500 in such a troubled market, then I said,
So,
I'm okay.
so Hajar, let me ask you a question. I'm sure you probably don't consider yourself to be the world's biggest technology expert. I don't either. But I'm just curious, from sitting a few thousand miles away, and you look at the whole US market in general, and US technology stocks in particular, and what we're doing as a country here. What do you think of the US stock market and the dollar and technology stocks? Do you have any views you care to share with us?
I don't have any views, George. I'm not an expert on tech stocks or US market.
That's fair.
For 10 years, I hear from some of my US investors that market was expensive and trading at high multiples. So that's where it is. So you can never guess what's
Sure.
going to happen. So I don't have any view. No, no.
Fair enough. And so, how much money you're managing, and if American investors wish to invest with you, are you able to accommodate them?
Yeah, we have a couple of American investors, and we do produce PFIC statements for them. We manage around $130 million.
Okay,
Uh, it's an easy process. They sign the anti-money
got it.
laundering rules, and then we can
And
open.
and how can people follow you on social media? Have a website? Are you on Twitter? Explain a little
I'm on Twitter. I'm using Twitter a lot. I have 440,000 followers on Twitter. From time to time, I go on.
Sure.
Yeah, and our website also.
And are you on the web? Do you have a website also?
Yeah, we got a company website. It's marmaracapital.com.tr. That's
Okay.
is our website.
marmarcapital.com.tr. Okay, fine. We'll be sure to put that in the show notes. All right, so Hajar, this has been phenomenal. What have we not talked about? Anything else you want to speak about here? I'm hopeful we'll do this again in a few months, but anything we haven't covered that you want to mention here before we sign off?
Well, I would say that for any investor who doesn't mind volatility and has a long-term investment horizon, I think Turkey is a paradise market. It's in terms of uh, operational risks is quite controlled. Everything runs smoothly. Macro story is just creating opportunity in the market.
That's great. Well, I think I remember the volatility. I recall there was a manager once many years ago in Boston, Ken Hebner. I think he's retired now. He's a great investor, peer of Peter Lynch's, and I knew Ken. And Ken was a value investor, value oriented, but also momentum. And he loved the volatility. He said, "You know what? The volatility, it scares away, excuse my language, it scares away all the assholes. The people who want the steady performance, they're frightened away, right? So it makes it less efficient. So if you know what you're doing, it can really afford you tremendous opportunities. And I'm really interested to hear what you've said about the Turkish market and what you do. So, Hajar, this has been great. Let's do it again. Wish you the best, and we'll get together again in a few months. You can update us on what's going on.
Thank you for
Thanks,
having me.
thanks, thanks so much, Hajar.